I am thrilled today to be here to introduce Steve Schoeny to the Columbus Rotary. Steve is the Director of the Department of Development for the City of Columbus. He spent the past 20 years providing strategic leadership in the field of economic development. His department includes housing, code enforcement, economic development, land redevelopment, and planning. At the end of the day, his group is dedicated to improving the economy in the neighborhoods of Columbus. One way they do this is by encouraging private businesses to grow and invest in our community. Let's face it, organizations today have plenty of options when deciding where to grow their businesses. Steve is part of the team that incentivizes growth here and sells Columbus as a great place to live and grow your company. We've seen tremendous growth over recent years, and Steve's goal is to make sure Columbus continues to thrive in the future. He and his team of 170 people are helping chart the course for the city in determining where we go from here. So please help me give a warm Rotary welcome to Steve Schoeny.
Thank you very much. Couple of introductory comments, if I can do this without spilling my water. First of all, Bill, where'd you go? The only other being that I know can make that many people stand up and sit down that frequently is at church on Sunday. So that was particularly impressive, and congratulations on all the service you've done. The other announcement I have to make is if you didn't hear it getting out of the car on the way in, JT Barrett will be starting on Saturday, which is, I know, the other thing that the dedication from the football fans to not be listening to the Urban Meyer press conference. I'm very impressed. I will be much less entertaining than Urban Meyer. And then finally, I can't stand up and give a speech about development in Columbus when Bob Weiler's in the room without recognizing Bob. He has done so much to shape this city and continues to do so much to shape this city that when Bob's in the room, I feel like I have to give him some special acknowledgement. So thank you, Bob, for everything you do. The introduction talked about my job and our role. I have 170 people covering a whole broad range, and what I frequently talk about, there are two mantras that I talk about. One is our job is to do things that allow people to invest in the city, and it's not just businesses. It's homeowners, it's students, it's anyone who has a financial decision to make about how do we take care of this city. That's my job. So when it's code enforcement, it's making sure that you can feel confident in the value of your house and the value of your neighborhood because your neighbors are taking care of their house. When it's building housing, it's making sure that we have a strong housing stock and making sure that we have safe places for people to live so that they feel like they can educate their kids. And on the business side, it's about making sure that companies have the confidence to invest in our city and to know where we're going. So when I was thinking about how to make this, when Brian asked me to do this speech and Tricia asked me to do this speech, they asked me before the election, and I took kind of a flyer because if the election had gone the other way, I'd have just stood up here and said, I don't know. You guys, y'all are on your own. I can't figure this one out. But we were really lucky. Was it only last week? Oh my God, it was only last week. We were really lucky last week. Not lucky, that's the wrong word. We were really smart last week because the city chose to elect not just a mayor, but an entire council that understands that the future of this city is not about a city that's angry, but it's about a city that's looking forward. And it's a city that is trying to leverage what we have that's great. So what are the things that we're trying to leverage, and what are we trying to do? The real challenge of development today is that when I came up through the business, and it always frightens me every time I hear that I've been in the business for 20 years, and I hear people talking about under 40 events, and I no longer qualify for that either. It was all about you had a industrial park here, and you had an office park here, and you had your housing there, and you connected them with a big fat road. That's not development today, because today the first thing on the strategic lead, well, not the first thing, one of the top things on the strategic leader of a business's decision is they look out at their team and they say, wow, we got a lot of gray hair. And how am I going to set up this business for the future? And how am I going to attract talent? And how are we going to make sure that we get the right people into this business? And that's happening at the same time that we have a demographic shift where kids these days, because now that I'm 44, I can say kids these days look at the world and they figure out where they want to live first, and then they find the job. So our biggest strategic challenge and opportunity is to create places where people want to be. That's not just where they want to live. It's where they want to live, it's where they want to work, it's where they want to play, it's where they want to raise a family, and where they have opportunity. And building an opportunity city is key. And so we're in an environment today where you have to do it all. You have to have the complete package. And that's why you're seeing some fantastic things in this town. I'm not real big on giving a lot of statistics in talks, but there are a few I want to give you. Right now, downtown office vacancies for Class A office space are below 7%. That is at the same time that we've added, I think, nearly 2 million square feet of office space in the Arena District. Residential vacancy in downtown and the surrounding neighborhoods, think East Franklinton, German Village, Italian Village, Old Town East, did I say German Village, Brewery District? Yes. Hi, Shiloh. Need to make sure I get that in there. Is below 2%. That's essentially zero. You see cranes on our sky now. Why? What are we seeing in those places? What we're seeing is that those places are dense, they're active, and they're connected, which is the key to our future. The key to our future is building neighborhoods that are dense, active, and connected. So that's why we're seeing private sector investment right now. Franklinton, particularly East Franklin, but both East Franklinton and West Franklinton are seeing a tremendous amount of investment, and you're seeing a lot of people looking at doing great new projects in those neighborhoods. Italian Village is as busy as it has ever been. It is the busiest development section of this entire city. And it's not just the suburban neighborhoods. It is Polaris. Bob and his team are looking at putting different kinds of investment and really encouraging residential development and connecting that residential development to the job opportunities and the shopping opportunities and the entertainment opportunities that you have in Polaris, which has traditionally been thought of as the quintessential suburban location in Columbus. See the same thing at Easton. Out at Hamilton and 161, we're working with Daimler, the Castro Group, and believe it or not, the New Albany Company, to do the same thing there at the last undeveloped interchange within the city. Those are the kinds of things that are happening. But it's not without challenge. When I talked about the vacancy rates in downtown, that's as low as we can go for one very simple reason. Actually, it's a reason that you can state one of two. You can state two different ways. It's parking/transportation. Parking in downtown right now is the limiter on our growth. We're expecting next year probably 10 to 15% increase in the cost of a monthly pass in downtown. That's if you can find one. We're also at a time, could you hand me my phone? I'm going to steal a line from a speech that somebody gave at an event that Morpsey did. When you think about how people look at their cars, when I'm going to look around the room, I think when all of us were growing up, the key to power, freedom, and the opposite sex was your car, right? I mean, when I got the 9 and actually it's now 10 and 11-year-old boys, I knew what a Camaro versus a Corvette versus a Ferrari. I knew them all. My kids have no idea what different cars are, and there's a reason. because the key to all those things for young people today is this. And where's the one place that you can't use this? It's behind the wheel of your car. That is a fundamental mindset change. And so when we all think about, yeah, people never get with their cars. No, it's no longer a want. It's something that people have to do. And if they don't have to do it, if it's not an overhead expense, because it's no longer considered a benefit, they're not going to do it. So it's building places where people can get around without a car, or minimally using their car. So what we have is we have great opportunities. We have great opportunity that if we can solve our transportation problems, our dense, connected, vibrant places will succeed. But we have some places in this city that don't fit those criteria. It's places like the Hilltop. It's places like Linden. Those are the places today, and there's places that I worry about too that are our gateways, our former gateways. 161 and 71, Bryce Tusing, the west side out by the casino. Those are all areas that I have really, really deep concerns about. And those are going to be our challenges of the next 20 years. It's finding ways to connect those neighborhoods in order to move our city forward and make sure that those neighborhoods that they can return to what they once were. Because all of those neighborhoods that I talked about on the edges, and frankly, even Linden and the Hilltop, at one point in their history were fantastic places. They were places where people raised families. And when you look at what we've done with Wyland Park, and when you look at what we're doing on the east side with the former Poindexter development, and when you look at what we're doing in Franklinton, if we get the connection right, and if we make places safe, we will succeed. That is what we have done in Wyland Park. And what it takes partnership. Wyland Park is a partnership between the city, the university, Chase, the foundation community. Everybody got together and said, we are going to make this place work. It's what we're doing on the east side now at the Poindexter development. That is an area that my belief is if we can find a way to connect that neighborhood to downtown, and we can say to people, you can have your job downtown and you can live in that neighborhood and have an affordable, safe place to live, people will go there. And you can get to downtown on a bus that's regular, that's safe, that is not considered just something for those people. We will succeed. There's a really interesting experiment. I don't know if you guys have had anybody from CODA come in and talk, but CODA is doing what's called bus rapid transit along Cleveland Avenue. That is where literally the bus controls the traffic lights. So it's like it's the express bus that has the power that you always wanted, that you always want to have. I take one. I don't know how many of you have to go through the 5 Points intersection in Arlington very frequently. I have to go through there a lot with my kids. I want it really bad right there. What it gives us the opportunity is it gives us the opportunity to sell the Cleveland Avenue corridor as a connected place again. We've got a lot of work to do in terms of safety and cleaning up the housing stock and all those things, but it is a tool that gives us the opportunity to build those connected neighborhoods. I don't really, I'm trying to figure out what my close is going to be, which I should have figured out before I got up here. And I'm actually going to go to my notes, which I haven't done the whole time. There are a couple things that I think we need to do. One is transportation. Two, part of the way to solve your transportation problem is to make sure that everyone has the option to live close to where they work. I'm very careful about how I say that. Everyone has the option to live close to where they work. What does that mean? That means we need to build, that means when we do housing, we need to make sure that we're being very purposeful about it and make sure we don't just build $2,100 a month one-bedroom apartments. We need to look at how do we make sure that in our job centers we're building housing that's affordable to middle-income folks. Similarly, in our suburban job centers, we also need to make sure that we're building housing that's close to those places or even integrated into those places. So that's a two-pronged challenge. And the other thing we need to do is we need to find ways to take control of our destiny in those challenged places. And I haven't figured that out yet. We haven't figured that out. But part of it's going to be finding ways to work with the landowners in those areas to say, we need to develop this together now, and we need to give them a sense of urgency. And some of that's going to mean needing to grow some carrots, and some of it's going to be cutting down some branches off of trees to create some sticks. For those property owners that don't take care of their properties, we'll be doing things like what the city attorney's already started doing with the bad hotel owners in town and going after them and making sure that, you know, a motel is not just a cover for a brothel and for a drug den. Those are the kinds of things we're going to be going after, but we also have to develop new ways to look at how do we work with our property owners to say, we will partner with you, we will step forward with you, we will absorb some of that risk for you if you're going to come in and do something in a place that's maybe a little bit ahead of the market. So I'm very, very encouraged about the opportunities that we have. I took this job 2.5 years ago for two reasons. One is I think it's the best job. I was working for Ice Miller in their economic development practice, had a great job, but I took this job because I thought it was honestly the best job in my field in the entire country, and I didn't have to move. The second was that we had a mayor for life. That was a joke. That one I got wrong, but I still think I have the best job in the country, and I want to thank all of you for the time that you put in to help make this city great. Clubs like this really are important, and I do also want to pay the club as a whole a compliment. I give speeches to a reasonable number of groups. It's very rare that I see this breadth of age and depth of age within a group. Not 6 feet under depth quite, but in all seriousness, the fact that you have as strong an under 40 presence and still have as many long-term members coming in here, it's very impressive, and I want to compliment you for that. It's not something that I see with a lot of groups, so whoever is in charge of sort of caretaking that process, I think has done a great job. With that, I'll take any questions you got. Yeah.
Can you tell us about competing with other cities or the subject of poaching?
Yeah, the question is talk about competing with other cities and the subject of poaching. You know, competing with other cities outside of Central Ohio is something we do every day, and it is it's a challenge. We have great partners with Columbus 2020. For those of you who are trying to figure out what's the role between Columbus 2020 and the city, the best private sector analogy I can give you is that we essentially outsourced our marketing and a good portion of our sales to 2020 at the city. So that's what they do for us. As it relates to, you know, intra-regional competition, there is a lot of competition. When folks ask me about poaching, I ask them first to define what they mean. And usually it means going out and proactively seeking out a business in another city. We don't do that. And to be honest with you, there are very few communities in Central Ohio that do. There are a couple. We don't do that. We recognize, however, that if there is we do two things. One is if there's a company that's in another community within Central Ohio, we don't offer incentives on their existing jobs. We'll offer incentives on the jobs that they're going to grow from there, but we don't offer incentives on their existing jobs because it's not to the benefit of the community. It's to the detriment of the community as a whole, financially to benefit a very small group. And you know, we don't go out and look for we don't go out and try and steal other people's business. We do recognize also that companies have options. And so we need to be on top of our game. So from that perspective, competition is a really good thing. I want there to be competition among the municipalities around Central Ohio. I saw on your list of people you had Dana McDaniel in a month and a half ago. And, you know, the fact that Dublin is doing Bridge Street really has helped us because it's made us step up our game. I always tell folks after I say that, if you're interested in the Bridge Street corridor and you don't want to wait 2 years, we got downtown right down here. We can, and anyway, I'll just leave it at that. Did that answer your question? Okay. Yes, sir.
What's the future of connectivity or improvement you're proposing within the city?
So, kind of, the question was, what is the future of connectivity? Do you mean from a physical, like person movement standpoint, or from a IT standpoint?
IT.
So, the city's Department of Technology has had a major initiative to run fiber throughout the city, and actually the goal is to have every single traffic light location within the city connected on a city-owned fiber network. We are in the process, and I'm not that close to it because DOT's running it, and I haven't had an update from them for a month and a half, 2 months. They're working with a group to go out and then market that fiber to use for the private sector, and then frankly also if we've got the right customer from an economic development standpoint, we'll be using that fiber to leverage our economic development opportunities. But one of the things we're going to be doing when we talk to cell phone carriers or whoever it is who want to run on our fiber, part of the conversation will be, that's great, what are you going to do in Linden? What are you going to do on the Hilltop? What are you going to do on 161? What are you going to do in those neighborhoods as well? Because it's not just so that you can get on our fiber to run to campus and Short North and those kinds of areas, but you need to be truly serving our city if you're going to run on our fiber. Here.
How about public transportation? Are you looking at anything besides busing?
Yeah, no, the question is, are we looking at anything besides busing? And I'm going to go on, this is the Steve Schoeny opinion, this is not the official opinion. We have to, we don't have a choice, but here's the problem. My belief, and again, this is my personal belief, is that it needs to be largely led by the private sector. Because in order to build the public trust, the public belief in it, it has to be folks from the business community saying, we have to do this for our future. If it's me, and if it's the mayor, and if it's Curtis Stitt, and it's the county commissioners saying, we need public transit, we need public transit, we need public transit, it's just, sounds like what it gets monotonous and people don't pay attention. They don't believe it. They think it's just another government program and we're going to waste tons of money. It has to come from the private sector, in my opinion, if it's going to succeed. And it's expensive. But I will tell you this. So I was at a conference recently and I was talking with the woman who's the head of planning for Milwaukee. Northwestern Mutual Life is building a 1 million square foot office tower in downtown Milwaukee. That size building will house 5,000 to 6,000 people. Milwaukee has a streetcar system. Northwestern Mutual Life is building a 1,200 car garage. At $20,000, $20,000 to $25,000 a space for structured parking, you do the math in terms of how much just that one thing saves. Just on the CapEx for the parking. It is the thing that will either move us forward or hold us back. Yes.
In the similar vein, as you look at parking availability and the change in car habits of people, how do you see Zipcar, Go Bike, things of that nature working with what you?
Yeah, the mayor's office under Mayor Coleman, I think, and I give them credit because that's where it came from, has done a really good job of encouraging things like Car2Go, the KoGo bike share, the C-Bus, all of those alternate modes of transportation to give folks the option of not having a car. It seems as though those are private businesses, I don't know how they're doing financially, they seem to be doing reasonably well. for those that we talk to in that kind of millennial, urban living kind of environment, it's working for them and it's making a difference. Particularly Car2Go is being well used, and you're seeing a lot of people doing it. So I think it's vital to have those different options to make it possible for somebody to not have a car in Columbus. Back here.
What's the future of the Parsons Avenue corridor?
The question is, what is the future of the Parsons Avenue corridor? And I'm really glad you brought that up. And I was going to bring it up earlier because the South Side is one of my favorite areas to talk about. If you haven't driven down Parsons, I really encourage you to do it. I talked earlier about Wyland Park. I've talked a couple times about Wyland Park and how much we've learned from Wyland Park. And one of the things we learned was the importance of partnering with a institutional partner in a neighborhood. In Wyland Park, it was OSU. South Side, it's really been Children's. And Children's and their Healthy Neighborhoods, Healthy Families initiative, the work that we've done with John Edgar at Community Development for All People. And again, I keep turning to Bob. This is another initiative Bob's involved in. I should have just had him give the speech. It would have been much less stressful for me. Actually, it would have been more stressful to have Bob up here doing this. So the South Side, and then you look at what's happening far south on Parsons with the investments that are being made down at Reeb and the Reeb Avenue School. The South Side is, I think, that neighborhood that really is going to turn around. I mean, you've got German Village, where Shiloh and her folks have done a fantastic job of really curating a neighborhood and building a sense of community and having all that connected, dense, vibrant environment. And with the demographic changes we're seeing, you are seeing people coming more and more into that. You see, you've got the Crest opening a restaurant on Parsons, where before, Planks was considered high dining on Parsons. Which is pretty good. And you're seeing that energy moving south. The challenge on Parsons really is to jump the street, is to make the west side and the east side not such a smack you across the face kind of change, because it is. I mean, you drive along some of those streets and you cross Parsons, and those are neighborhoods with some real severe challenges still. But the reason I'm hopeful is you've got all the pieces in place to make it work, and you have that great sense of different partners coming together, investing together. If this group hasn't done something, I'm going to give you a challenge. If this group hasn't done something to really understand what's happening at Reeb Elementary and what the families that have invested in that section of town, what they are doing, you really need to. You need to bring Jane and Tanny in, or somebody from that group to come in and talk to you about what they've done there, because it really is a model for how the city, the private sector, and the philanthropic community can come together and take what was just a mess in terms of an old building that was crumbling, was falling down, come in, build it up, and put services that help change lives all in one place. It is really a fantastic opportunity. So thank you for that question. Is that it? We're done. Thank you very much.